Hey everyone. Yes, I have my slides. Amazing. So I'm very excited to be here. What a great group of women. What a fantastic organization. And I really wanted to talk about the future of social economic immersion, because a lot of times we have misconceptions of what does Web3 mean, what does metaverse mean, what does immersion mean, and it's hard in a lot of the noise and the, I would say, manifestations of specific brands who have the idea of what this means to really articulate a vision that is user-centric, and even more than that, that is Web3 user-centric, because those kind of users are kind of different and they want different things. They're experiencing the web in a different way, and the social economic immersion that will come out of the interactions between platforms and these new kind of users will really be the future of the web. So first of all, a little about me. Danny Brown-Wolf, I'm Chief of Staff at Upland, which is the largest Web3 metaverse. I'll touch on it a little bit just so you'll have context on a lot of the examples that I will throw out here throughout my talk. I kind of put my online avatars here just as a little example of how one person can manifest themselves in different ways in the web and how it's a little bit more immersive. For one of them, the middle one is my Ready Player Me avatar. That is my Upland identity and connected to my Upland wallet with my wearable that is also an NFT. I have my other two NFTs that one of them really represents how I represent myself on Twitter, and the other one is like my alter ego DGen, and whoever knows what CDB is, then you understand why. As I said, I want to give you a little bit of general context in really 2 minutes about Upland, because I think the way we think about the architecture of the open metaverse and economic immersion really brings to light the examples that I'm going to bring forward. So Upland is a Web3 metaverse mapped to the real world. That means you look at real world addresses and it gives you context for where you are and the kind of things you can do in the metaverse. It was launched in 2020, so it's one of the first ones. We have over 3 million registered users, over 300,000 unique landowners, and we've sold over 5 million NFTs in the primary market. Of course, the secondary market between players is much bigger. It is currently one of the largest Web3 metaverses, and there are a few reasons for that. So it was originally inspired by Monopoly and started as a property trading game, and has evolved into what we refer to a Metaverse Super App that really incorporates all the elements of both a super app and an economic platform. Of course, that includes all the different elements and things you can do in Upland, and all the different brand partners who are now working with us on experimenting on different ways to interact with their communities and users around the world. There are a few reasons why Upland has had its success and has, as you can see, over 300,000 unique landowners, which means unique wallets, which is about 10 times more than a lot of our friends in other metaverses. The first one is that it's mobile first. The second reason is that it's completely regulatory compliant as a Silicon Valley based company in the United States. It does not have an externally traded token, although all the elements inside Upland are actual NFTs with true ownership. The mapping to the real world really gives people both emotional context, but also relevance. Okay, the Golden Triangle in Beverly Hills makes sense to me to be a fashion quarter where in real life, but also in the metaverse, I can go and buy wearables. As opposed to a more imaginary world that a lot of the times is great for gaming, but leaves you at a specific niche. So going into immersion, because I'm going to use that word a lot. So just to clarify, immersion does not mean VR or AR. And the fact that certain companies tried to brand it that way because that was their immersive web strategy does not make it so. We actually think the opposite, that it is important to meet users where they are today and where technology is today. And where users are today is on their mobile phone. And we do believe that you can have immersion, although it's not complete visual immersion, but it is social and economic immersion in the metaverse. And the maybe relative decline in popularity of the term, in my view, has to do with the fact that the strategy for a lot of the big corporations was to go straight to VR, which is completely prohibitive for most of the population of the world. So I think it's also important when we're talking about building the future of the web and the future of the immersive web to understand who are the future users and how we're going to evolve. So I call it from scrollers to strollers. So I'm a millennial, guilty as charged. I'm the Facebook generation, had Facebook since I was 18, and we are the scroller generation. This is how we consume information, and this is how different communities, brands, etc., are used to giving us information and looking at us as an audience that they need to catch our attention through our feed. The newer generation, and we're seeing this slow evolution. I see it with my kids, and you can see it with whoever is grown up playing Roblox. They're strollers. They don't wait to get an algorithm to feed them information. They take their avatars and they run around and they explore and they experience and they look around. And when they see something interesting that is visually appealing, then they go in and experience it. So the user itself is interacting differently with data and with experiences. In high level, these are the elements of social economic immersion as I've identified them in my work in Upland that I'll bring forward here. So community-focused products, co-creation based on UGC, experiences versus shoppers or audience, true ownership, and of course, all the economic elements of Web3, and open platforms, which are important as the open metaverse, in my view, will be the winning metaverse. Start with community. So communities in web are really the future. Some of them are organic, a lot of them are non-organic. So let me give you a few examples. We have communities in Web3 that have formed around a specific project, okay? A specific leadership of a project, maybe they like the NFT, maybe they're speculators, but once they've bought into the specific NFT project, we're seeing actual communities being formed with a lot of times they have governance elements. And even if they don't have technical governance elements, there's still governance in a way that the community interacts with the leaders of the specific projects, whether it's on Discord or somewhere else. And a lot of times they decide to do things together. There are organic initiatives. We see that a lot in Upland. So in Upland, because it's a platform, we have the Upland community, but it's really formed out of a lot of organic communities that form in different ways. Some of them form around a common interest. So we have in Upland, for example, cars and car racing. And there are a lot of people who are really into that. They're really into their specific cars and racing them, trading them, doing watch parties around cars. And organically, they have formed different communities around racing. And that's what interests them. We're also seeing kind of expats communities. So we have a strong Japanese community who decided they have their own channel on Discord, their own server on Discord that they built, and they decided to take over a neighborhood in Chicago that is actually the real life neighborhood where Little Tokyo is or Japantown is. And they decided to buy property around there and call it Little Japan, and build their community around that specific neighborhood in the metaverse. We call them nodes in Upland. And there are existing communities that come in and are just looking for new ways to give value to their community through more immersion and through more tools. And it's our job as a metaverse platform to provide those tools. For example, we just launched cafes. Cafes are immersive spaces that each neighborhood will be able to have, where you walk in with your avatars, as you saw my Ready Player Me avatar, and have different events with different business models. It could be an open community event. It could be token gated. There are a lot of different ways, and the idea is that we're just giving the foundations and the tools for communities, and then they decide what to do with it. I mean, in Upland, some of our nodes even have created their own governance initiatives. They've elected a mayor and decided together how they're going to build their node. So the community aspect, as we've seen it, is the strongest puller towards the new economic and social immersion. Co-creators. So this is kind of a hard leap for a lot of the builders and brands who are interacting with Upland to take, but I think once we show them a few examples, they kind of get it. So in the Web2 scrollers, we're used to brands creating amazing things for us and us wanting them, buying them, trading them, etc. In an economic and social immersion metaverse, what we're seeing as the future is user-generated content. So in Upland, for example, we have a class of NFTs called structural ornaments, because we started as a property trading game. We have you have your land, you build a structure on top of it, and then in special occasions or in different seasons, we had structural ornaments, just like in real life you would decorate your house for Christmas or for Halloween. Halloween is a huge decorative season in Upland. So we started with brand partnership. We worked with Spirit Halloween and created our own, worked with a famous artist, Jackie Tsai. But now, a few months ago, we've opened up the ability for different creators in Upland to have their own NFT factory and showrooms and create these ornaments on their own and sell them to other players. So now it serves two functions. One, as a platform builder and operator, we don't want to be creating all of these things. We probably don't know what all the users want. There might be niche products. We might not be on top of the trends because we're busy doing the technical stuff. Like all these things just make sense. And because it's an open economy, we want our users to be co-creators, use the technical elements that we've built into the metaverse and create their own limitless creativity in their own economy. And we're seeing that very strongly in Upland. The second thing is experiences. And I love to give this example. I love talking to non-Web3 metaverse people, trying to test how I explain metaverse to them and see if they get it, see if I make any sense, or it's just, our own echo chamber. And I talked to a good friend who worked for many years at the House of Chanel. And I explained to her how I see experiences in the metaverse and how different brands should act in the metaverse. And after listening to me, she said, So basically, a metaverse experience as opposed to an audience would be, rather than having, okay, you're in a metaverse, or you're walking into a store with 3D items and you think that's a meta space or a metaverse, you're saying that's the technically, okay, that's 3D immersive experience of shopping as opposed to a 2D one, but when you're talking about the future of how this would develop, you're actually talking about walking into an experience of the House of Chanel that's kind of a digital Sleep No More, like an escape room with the different Chanel. There are different game loops inside, and you gain different things, and maybe that unlocks something else. So she just got it, and she actually articulated it much better than me with the Chanel example. So that's what I wanted to contribute here, because again, a lot of the brands we're talking to, they're like, oh, cool, metaverse. Let's take our existing store in real life, our headquarters on Fifth Avenue, recreate it in Unity, and have the clothes also, fit in a digital way that are also on their avatars. Like, that's cool as step one, but when you're looking again at the Strollers of the world, what they would want is a House of Chanel Sleep No More, not another Chanel store. And that's a really interesting development that we're seeing. The most important element for me, also having a Web3 background since 2016, working on hardcore infrastructure projects before coming to Upland, is the importance of a Web3 economy integrated into the concept of metaverse. And what that means is, first and foremost, true ownership of assets. And this is a big conversation topic, obviously, in gaming, where gamers spend a lot of money on skins, swords, badges, etc. But if they want to leave the game, they can't cash out. They don't really own it. If the game falls apart or gets sold to something else, they lose their assets. There isn't that concept of true ownership of assets, that you own these digital assets as if you would own a real asset. You can trade it, you can make money, you can increase its value in different ways. And that's number one basis. The second one is transparency. So as in any Web3 environment, the importance of transparency for all the transactions. Our users know, our community knows way before us what we're going to do, because they're reading the code on the block. They're seeing all the transactions on the blockchain. Anything we build, they see on the blockchain before we announce it. That creates a different relationship of trust, and also makes us a lot more communicative towards our community. And it's a big element of Web3. The last one is forkability. It's a pretty complex concept, but I'll simplify it just by saying that if you don't like your operator, your metaverse platform operator, game operator, social network operator, you can fork the code, because the code is a live instance, as opposed to being locked in with a Facebook account and you can't really leave because you can't take all your data and your friends with you. I'll do this quickly so I can take questions. I just wanted to give the example of doing good in the metaverse, and giving the two examples of UNICEF and Susan G. Komen on how they saw the opportunity to do fundraisers in the metaverse and how we worked with them. So both UNICEF and Susan G. Komen did fundraisers in Upland, but rather than a Facebook kind of like a GoFundMe link, they actually created, and the idea is that they will create with community creators in the future, different NFTs and different elements that relate to the gameplay within Upland. And everything that was sold went to charity. And it was also around, real world events like Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October. So these are really great opportunities for NGOs to now interact with new audiences and to interact in innovative ways with their existing audience. So I don't know how I can take questions. I don't know if you guys control the questions. Yes, we do get a little bit compared to Second Life, although we started as an economy before and only then grew the different elements of social, like in-game chat, in-game cafes. Those came only after we had already established a strong economy. And the Web3 elements, as I mentioned, are the most important one. I do want to talk about this slide because I think it will give you guys a context also to how important it is in terms of architectural design of these platforms. So we believe in the open metaverse. What does that mean? Metaverse with a capital M. Eventually, there will be many small m metaverses, but they will be interoperable, interconnected. You as a user with your sovereign digital identity and real ownership of assets will be able to take your assets from one to the other. And the way the different elements that we're laying now for their foundations are not only bridges, but also consolidation and standardization of metadata of different assets, so they can be used in the same way in different platforms. As well as in Upland, if you guys know Roblox, for example, there are a lot of developers who work on Roblox, but Roblox forces them to create uniquely for and exclusively for Roblox using their tools, which is amazing for creators who now want to do it. But there are also a lot of creators out there who've already built something, who might want to build in Unity, who might want to build a cross-platform experience or game. And the way Upland did it is just creating open APIs that basically said to all developers, Web3, Web2, doesn't matter, like what you already built or what you want to build, connect it through our API and enjoy a connection to the Upland economy and user base. And we'll support that. Our users coined the term layer 2 metaverse, which I love. Of course, they're better than me. That's it. You can reach me. DMs are open on Twitter if you want to connect or you have any further questions. Thank you again so much for having me here. And I'm really looking forward to hearing the rest of the talks today.